chair recognizes himself for 5 minutes. Chair Gensler, I want to follow up today on my March 30, 2023 letter to you regarding Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, SAB 121, and the SEC's fundamental changes to the way banks and financial institutions are expected to account for the custody of digital assets. SAB 121 indicates an institution acting as a custodian of digital assets should hold custody digital assets on balance sheet. I am concerned that the SEC's Office of Chief Accountant underestimated the effects of SAB 121 and its requirement to put custodied assets on balance sheet, and as a result, banking organizations would effectively be precluded from serving as digital asset custodians. Chairman Gensler, you have not responded to my letter dated March 30, 2023 on SAB 121. I ask unanimous consent to submit my letter to Chairman Gensler into the record without objection. I have a staff email, Mr. Gensler, confirming receipt of the letter in front of me. I know the SEC received it. Can you explain why you failed to answer my letter, Mr. Chairman?
There's a letter that I just got in the last 2 weeks, as I understand.
No, it's dated March 30, 2023, and I have a...
Or 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have a...
So let me just address again the substance.
I'm going to reclaim my time.
Sorry.
I do expect a written response very soon to that letter. And Chairman Gensler, I'm new to this committee. I may not look like it today, but I sit way down on the dais. I've heard rumors that you're not particularly interested in communicating with Congress, the entities you regulate, or just about anyone else. As you can tell by how late I have been in the speaking order for this hearing, I am nowhere near one of the most senior members of Congress in this room, but let me remind you that everyone on this dais represents different parts of the United States of America, and by ignoring our letters, you are effectively ignoring the American people, and make no mistake, we will hold you accountable. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let me move on to my questions. As you know, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, said, quote, custody assets are off balance sheet, always have been, end quote. Congressman Barr asked you this morning about whether you conferred with the prudential regulators before issuing SAB 121. You said that you, quote, consulted with bank regulators subsequently, end quote. Can you clarify what that means? Does that mean you issued SAB 121 without consulting with any of the banking regulators beforehand? That is a yes or no question.
Sir, I'm going to try to address your question. Putting crypto assets off balance sheet is also a recipe for further risk in the system and disaster for the system. And what our
I'm going to repeat my question, Mr. Gensler. Did you consult with federal prudential regulators before issuing Staff Accounting Bulletin 121? That is a yes or no question.
And under the authorities Congress gave us, our chief accountant is the chief accountant to look at what public companies' questions are, and they consulted with Big Four, they consulted internally, and put out that Staff Accounting Bulletin.
What feedback did you receive from the prudential regulators after issuing SAB 121? Did they identify any conflict between SAB 121 and prudential regulations?
Just as this happened in the past, they have their own authorities to take up what regulatory actions they would take, but we address just public company accounting. And today in the US, there's no good regime. Once you take a crypto asset, a company, if you go into bankruptcy, there's no segregation. And until that's resolved and protected, that's very different than taking custody of equities, taking custody of fixed income.
So publicly traded banks effectively would have to follow SAB 121.
That is correct.
And you recognize what a huge difference that is from prudential federal regulators, you know, with a family-owned bank. There's quite a difference. Do you think that's fair?
If you want to raise money in the U.S. public markets, that you have to follow accounting standards that properly account for your liabilities. And, sir, crypto assets.
What about what Mr. Powell said? He clearly said just the opposite from what you're arguing.
I'm going to stay in our lane, and our lane is Congress gave one agency oversight of public company accounting, and that's the Securities and Exchange Commission.
My time has expired.